Some folk look all the way grown on the outside, and that's pretty much it. When you go internally, you got a child living in there. And I'm not talking about just the inner child. I'm talking about a toddler, an infant, somebody who has not developed themselves emotionally. And I believe that in order for us to have dynamic, healthy, even grounded relationships, we need to get in relationship with those who are emotionally mature. And we ourselves need to be emotionally mature. Because if there is no emotional maturity, there is always going to be a sort of parent-child relationship taking place, right? There's going to be an off balance within that relationship dynamic, whether it's an intimate or romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's co-workership, whatever type, business partnership, whatever it may be. So long as the other individual or you are coming from a place of emotional immaturity, which does not come naturally, by the way, it doesn't just come as a byproduct, of our everyday life, especially not within this society. We are not placed in an environment that fosters that emotional maturity, but instead it fosters a maturity of the external, quote unquote, intellect most times. But when it comes to emotions, most people stay as that infant or at the very best as a toddler. So let's get into 6 clear signs of emotional maturity. I know this ain't for you. This is for the person next to you, right? This is a list for them. So, you know, make sure they get this news. Make sure they get this message. Number 1, you understand that how others act is a reflection of them and not yourself. Now, this one is one of those it's become a cliche statement, right? It's become a status quo, but for a reason. It's cliche because it's true. When you understand, when you come from a space that other people are demonstrating to me aspects of themselves, I no longer take offense or I no longer take those things personally. And when I personalize things, that's when I start to obviously attack. So the emotionally mature individual understands that people are acting from their own perception and perspective. They're not trying to change. They're not trying to fix people. They're not trying to shift and warp their perception. Instead, they recognize that this person can only come from their own level of understanding. That is one of the highest forms of emotional maturity, to understand that everyone has their own perspective. Their world isn't revolving around me. So therefore, the things that I oftentimes make personal are not truly personal. Number 2, you take responsibility for your own emotional reactions and responses. This right here is fundamental, foundational. This is the mere cornerstone of emotional maturity. Taking responsibility for your own responses and reactions in life is everything and every other thing. And most of us have been raised as victimhood or victim minded individuals. We've been raised in the midst of victimhood, off of victim and victimhood street, right? Victimhood Boulevard, Victimville. Most of us have been raised to believe that other people are responsible for our emotions, that other people need to cater to our emotions, that other people, it's their job to make us feel comfortable. Therefore, it's our job to make others comfortable. It's our job to manage other people's emotional states. Now, in truth, it is for us to be compassionate, to be understanding, of course, right? Those are givens. But that does not mean going out of your way in order to make somebody comfortable in their own skin. Why? Because you cannot do so. You may put a band-aid on a broken bone, right? You may seem to be fixing the problem, but inherently there's something internally that is going on within them that is none of your business. And only they can fix that. Now, you can hold space for that individual. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly. You can demonstrate or represent what it looks like to live from a space of true personal power. Absolutely. I'm all for that. But to go out of your way to try to shift or manipulate somebody else's emotional state in order for them to feel comfortable so you feel comfortable, So the emotionally mature individual understands that it is their responsibility to manage their own emotional reactions and emotional states, period. Number 3, you're able to listen to opposing opinions without taking offense. I cannot believe how many quote unquote grown folk are out here still getting offended off of what somebody else believes for themselves. And I'm not even talking about like huge belief systems, right? Religion, etc. Those are obvious. But even just, okay, political motives. Not even that one. Scratch that one. Sports teams. There are still grown men, even grown women out here who look to their sports team as their God. And if you disagree with that God, then you are the ultimate heathen. You are a sinner and you deserve hell, right? They see you as the scum of the earth. If you're in the Bay Area and you've seen the rivalry between the 49ers and the Raiders, you would see families that are torn apart because of these sports teams. So when you have an inability to listen to an opposing opinion without taking offense, even if it does come to these larger ones, politics, religion, any ideologies that you hold about the world. It's not our job again to fix or to change somebody else's perception. It is for us to live in a truth or to live from the truth and to live in an empowering state and to reflect that amongst the world, right? To literally be the light. But it's not our job to go out there, stand on soapboxes, evangelize people, beat them over the head, get mad when they don't believe what we believe, right? Which is also happening in the political arena. Politics has just become the new age religion, right? You have people who are so devoted to their political party or their political ideology that they need you to believe what they believe. Otherwise, they will beat you over the head with their own belief system until you do, or at least pretend that you believe what they believe, or until you're completely silenced. That's a story for a whole nother time. Number 4, you no longer project your insecurities onto those around you. Instead, you process them in a healthy manner. This one right here is a byproduct of the last one, so make sure to stay tuned for number 6. But when you no longer project your insecurities, instead you process them, which means you investigate, you are aware of them, right? You become conscious that these are your own insecurities, as opposed to putting them on other people. A huge one for, many of us, at least I can speak for myself within relationship, was jealousy. And seeing that my jealousy was not rooted in how the other person was showing up necessarily, but instead in my own belief of my own worthiness, right? I believe that I was inadequate or not worthy of love, not worthy of being loved for who I was, not good enough. And so I would project jealousy. I would project feelings of, oh, that person's, probably messing around and they're doing X, Y, and Z when they were doing nothing of the nature. Absolutely not. They literally could just be sitting there and you could be thinking in your head, oh, I bet they're thinking about X, Y, and Z. I remember that dude I saw 3 weeks ago. They're probably thinking about him right now. That's how, we let ourselves go on these spirals and we take it to be reality, right? And then we project those insecurities onto the relationship. And then we wonder why the relationships end up being no relationship at all. So the emotionally mature individual understands that they have insecurities that they're projecting onto others, and they process them in a healthy way in order for them not to do so. Simple as said, simple as done. Number 5, you don't treat relationships as a competition, instead as collaboration. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I still have to say this one, but I'm probably gonna have to say it for the rest of my life. Your relationships are not competitions. This ain't one-on-one. This is a collaboration. This is a partnership, right? This isn't who did it better, who done did it best. This ain't, I'm going to show you that I can get one up on you. Like there's some people in relationships and even romantic relationships, which just one person gets a promotion. The other person can't even celebrate them in that. Now they're like, well, I'm actually on my way to get a promotion. Or they're going, they're going to grind until they get their promotion so they can say something. It's like a tip for tat. This one gets these Jordans. This one gets the better Jordans. Instead of them getting the matching pair, you know what I mean? The cutesy little couple goals type situation. No, I'm going to get some better than you. You know what I mean? I can do it better than you. Some people get in a relationship in order for them to compete with this other individual, or they become competitors of the very person they're supposed to be connected and intimate with. And this is absolutely destructive. And this is a sign of obviously emotional immaturity. You have an inability to simply collaborate. You can't have anybody, quote unquote, one up you because you view life as a one upmanship. You view life as a competition overall. So you can't help but bring that into your relationship dynamics. Your friends, you always feel like you competed. They got this car, you got that one, right? They got the Chevy on 4s, you got the Chevy on 6s. Like, what are we doing here? So an individual who sees a relationship as a collaboration, as a partnership, as a union, oh man, that's going to be heaven on earth right there. That's going to be heaven on, because you finally get that it's you and me, not me versus you. And number 6, they're doing the inner work in order to develop these attributes. Now, this is the one that ties all of them together. Without this one, none of them exist. In order for us to get to a space of emotional maturity, we must be doing the inner work. And it is work. It's not like hard hat work. It's not, strenuous labor work, but it's going to be a work that requires everything from you. You're going to have to give yourself to the shadow work, to the inner work. Now, some people say, what is inner work? I've done entire videos just explaining what that means. I've done multitudes, maybe 100 of my videos at least are about how to actually implement this work, right? From aspects of how to become aware of your belief systems, how to shift those belief systems, forgiveness, acceptance of self and others. All of these are parts of the inner work. But in order for us to even get to a place of emotional maturity, we have to be doing the work. And in order for us to get to the work, we have to realize, diagnose that there is an issue. There's a problem here. Now, that takes moving out of your own way, not allowing the ego to rule you, but instead your spirit to be the one in charge, and for you to finally live from a place of awareness, right? To stop judging your thoughts, but instead to see that they're there as a byproduct of your conditioning, and to make a decision whether or not you want them to change, whether or not you want to do something different, whether or not you want a different experience out of your life. And once you make that conscious decision, everything else will start to click in gear. But until then, nothing will move when you don't. This ain't just going to magically happen. You just don't wake up one day and now you're emotionally mature. I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70. I done seen damn near 60, 70-year-olds who still do not have a true sense of emotional maturity. And it's unfortunate, but that's the case when you don't do the work. So as a part of that work, I wrote my first book, Doing Me Guilt-Free, Breaking Free from People Pleasing and Unleashing Your True Personal Power. I believe that a foundational element of getting to a place of true emotional maturity, living from a true place of power and authenticity, is breaking free or letting go of the need for external validation. So make sure to get yourself a copy of one of those in the link in the description. But for right now, let me run through this list one more again. Number one, you understand that how others act is a reflection of them and not you. Number two, you take responsibility for your own emotional reactions and responses, period. Number three, you're able to listen to opposing opinions without taking offense. Grown folk business. Number four, you no longer project your insecurities onto those around you. Yeah. Number five, you don't treat relationships as a competition, instead as collaboration. And number six, you are doing the inner work. Period.